Welcome back to the program. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. Before we went on that break, we did tell you that our first conversation this morning will center around comedy as a tool for entertainment. And like we always do on Fridays, we try as much as possible to bring you conversations that will at least get you in a relaxing mood for the weekend. How best can we do that today than taking a look at comedy? We know here in Nigeria that is one of the ways by which we take out stress, we make ourselves happy, and of course comedy is taking different forms in Nigeria, from stand-up comedy to the skits, to different variations of this genre of art. And so in the studio this morning we just have an MC as well as a comedian who will be taking us through the art or the rudiments of just making people laugh. But at the end of the day, you must cash in. Money has to come in. Of course, in this, Martin, the extra-tainer, is in the studio this morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here.
Good morning. That was a beautiful intro. Okay, so it's so good to be here. I like the fact that we're talking about comedy, a tool of entertainment or for entertainment. Now, the truth is this. People need to understand that comedy is beyond jokes. Comedy is fundamentally a bridge. It unites people. It heals hearts. It challenges systems. And importantly, it helps create unforgettable experiences or memories. Comedy has gone beyond the moment where people say, "You get one man." There is no man anywhere. Comedy has gotten to a point where it has become a very fundamental way that anybody can express a serious situation, make it lighter, and make it have impact. Personally, I say it everywhere I go. I say I don't just tell jokes. I actually create a scenario for you to get the sense and you laugh nonsense.
Oh, okay.
Comedy has grown to a point where there should be a conveying of a message that is clothed in laughter. Actually, the goal of comedy is laughter. The thin line between comedy and humor, if you want to be really technical about it, is that comedy aims at laughter while humor uses comedy to drive a point. So when you see a master ceremony like myself, Sako, say, "Oh, I'm an MC with a good sense of humor," they're trying to tell you that just in case you have a certain perspective or perception of comedy, know that this is a tool to make you achieve the essence of the event.
Okay. I'm sure you've noticed that I was really staring at you.
Okay,
Because
okay.
so many questions, started
Please,
coming
let it go.
to my mind. Can we now, also describe comedy as, like it's used as a tool for activism?
Okay.
Can you use it to tell a story about you or somebody else?
Okay.
But can we also describe or think of comedy as a change tool? Those are the questions that came to my head.
Okay, beautiful. Comedy is a strong instrument for cultural integration. Comedy is an efficacious tool for societal corrections. And comedy has currently become a way that people cope with life.
Okay.
I'm going to break this down. Wherever you're watching from, just be warned. The warning is very simple. You are going to enjoy every segment of this, and we're warning you because it will cause you happiness. So in case you're allergic to happiness, if you're allergic to happiness, do something else. Now, as a tool for cultural integration, comedy is used in campaigns, it's used in weddings. If you tell a good joke, you can make the in-laws laugh beyond what they expected. Wedding ceremonies in Nigeria comes with a lot. It's stressful. In fact, sometimes the stress is more than the party. But if you have a good comedian or a good master of ceremony, tell clean, healthy jokes. Carry the audience along in such an engaging way. The happiness can actually help them go through that day and even enjoy beyond what they had, the anger or the stress that they had. That is why people go to events like AY Live, which is one of the biggest in Africa, biggest comedy shows in Africa, to relax, because people go through a lot. The last time I came, I said something. I said, right now, the cost of living is too costly for even the living. That they've stopped believing and now they are living.
They are living.
Yes, the Jackpot syndrome. So it's crazy how it touches both the high and the low. So you want to just go somewhere and unwind, relax. Now, talking about comedy as a tool for correction of some anomalies or in the society. You see comedians like Sako, you see comedians like Teju Babyface, who does more of MC now. You see comedians like the Grandmaster, Ali Baba, by the way, who should even have a monument. Nanda is alive. Yeah, Nanda is alive. He's a pace setter. Okay. Now, you see comedians like this. When they tell jokes, they relate with history. They relate with real life situations. Okay, Bakassi does that a lot too. And when comedy relates with a real life situation, it's telling you that this is wrong in a funny way. So for instance, before we got to this dispensation or this economic situation, as it were, people would naturally get in a quarrel. And the next thing the person tells you is, do you know who I am?
And then you start to laugh.
Then the next thing you tell the person, I can feed you, feed your family, feed your next generation, feed my sister.
You
If
don't
you
feed
say
yourself
that
now.
if you tell me now that you want to feed me and my next
I will
generation,
follow you.
you tell a regular Nigerian, Lagosian now, the next week,
They'll
there are
back to
rain
your
knocks on
house
your
now.
door.
Yes, now.
They are knocking on your door. Say, Oga,
We don't come.
we don't come.
Have been
You
now.
promised. So
Fulfill
it's
your
a change
promise.
tool. It's a change tool. And comedians, lovers of comedy, need to realize this. Don't forget, when we talk about comedy, there is stand-up, there's slapstick, there's skit making, but generally comedy... Slapstick is a kind of comedy that has you on stage doing funny things that might be degrading to yourself, but you're making people laugh. So you know Mr. Bean?
Yeah.
He makes a fool out of himself to make people laugh. You know Mr. Bean? You know Mr. Bean? So that's slapstick. That's kind of slapstick, a good example to explain slapstick. Then we have skits. If you notice, people like Nas Boy, they pick a situation and act something very quickly about it, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, and it passes a message, but you are laughing in between. So comedy is a vehicle. It carries messages. When it doesn't, it's an empty vehicle, empty vessel.
Right.
Let's quickly backtrack a bit to where you started from.
Okay.
Where you said, of course, when you do comedy, you should realize that there's a message to be passed,
Okay.
Irrespective of that. Do you think that a lot of people who are in the business really understand why they are doing comedy? Because you also did say that, yes, it's a vehicle to convey messages.
Of course.
But it looks like some people are into the business, not necessarily because they understand what they're doing. For them, it's more or less like, whether you laugh or not, let me just come and say what I need to say, and then I'm out of here. So such people, do they have a negative effect on comedians such as yourself that understands that there is a focus? There is a reason why you're holding a microphone. It's not just about making people laugh. It's also speaking sense in that light. So do you get worried about people who are in the business for the fun of it, not necessarily understanding that it is a business?
Okay. So I'll start this way. One of the events I attended, was it 2 Fridays ago? Okay, on 2 Saturdays ago. After 2 hours of performance, the contact person who contacted me, and the chairperson came to me and said, wow, thank you so much. You have been able to make people forget that the celebrant is not yet here. Delays. They had not eaten. Food was being prepared, but they forgot it because of the engagement. Doing comedy and doing other things to engage them. I made some comments to also remind people of the situation. You need to use comedy to remind people of the situation of the country, then take them away from it.
Okay.
For instance, I say things like, we're in a season, a time, where many children of the I am that I am cannot afford yam. Right now, even human beings can hardly buy beans. It is wordplay. It is funny. People will be like, nice one, but you have passed the message. Now, when you talk about people who just come on stage and, oh, I talk, you laugh, or you don't laugh, or you get a message, or you don't get a message, I'm done with my 10 minutes. I feel that that is the essence of meetings like this, conversations like this, where we need to understand beyond what our business brings into our pocket, but what it leaves with the people. That's the place of impact.
Okay.
That is why if you are producing a drug, you don't just say, oh, I produce a drug. If it works for you or not, that's your business. No. You are satisfied when consumption reaches that climax that people are saying, whoa, I took this and I'm fine.
Right.
Satisfaction, that's where it comes.
Okay.
If production does not get to the consumer who is satisfied, it is an incomplete process. Production in comedy is I create my materials. Okay, comedians go through a lot to create. For you to create a material, you have a set, you have a follow-up, then you have a punchline. That's the anatomy of comedy. Jokes are written. Some are not written, they are spontaneous, but you prepare jokes. For an atmosphere, you have an event. You should prepare jokes for that event so that you address the purpose of the event, because every event has purpose, people, and time. The purpose of the event is important so that you don't deviate. Then the people who are there is important so you know how to pass the message to them.
Right.
Then the timing is important so that you pass the message in reasonable time, because a good speech is like a mini skirt. Short enough to arouse interest, but long enough to cover the subject matter.
Okay.
That's deep, right?
I know, right?
Well, you'll get it later when you're in the car home. So conversations like this would help my colleagues to know that in every joke, try to make sure that the comedy is the vehicle. It should carry passengers, messages. You should carry something, and you are the driver.
Right, Adebimpe, sorry, let me just sustain that very quickly. We'll also be still in that same realm of the question I asked. Sometimes you double as a comedian and an MC.
Master of ceremonies, yes.
Some people can't.
Yeah.
Some people cannot. Some people are, let me just anchor this program, be a master of ceremony. You didn't pay me to come and crack jokes.
Of course.
Let me do,
That's
this
correct.
and let me go. And some cannot, they cannot act as masters of ceremony, but they can crack jokes. They can do. So as an individual, where do you draw the line? As a comedian and master of ceremony, or as one or both, so that you're not, you don't mess up yourself as, in the trade. Because some people sometimes are not able to draw the line between being a comedian and an MC, or you just anchor this program and go. And in an attempt to crack jokes, they end up killing the program or, just messing themselves up. So how do you decipher which you're best at and stick to what you know as an individual?
Okay, first of all, I hope I can relax like this.
You are fine.
Because, it is feel at home. Feel at home.
So
my guy told his guests, feel at home.
The pillow behind you is it's
used to use that.
No, I have to ask. Studio matters. My guy told his friend to feel at home. That's how the handkerchief for their chair handrest got destroyed. And he went to warm soup. Feel at home. He went to warm soup. He said he can use anything. He now went to use microwave. Okay. if I get your question correctly, you are basically looking at how professionals deal with comedy, have professionals deal with comedy in such a way that it is not represented in their delivery. Is that your point?
No. So, for example,
Yeah.
I'm sure that Adebimpe and I
Okay.
would probably anchor a program perfectly.
Okay.
And go straight
Okay, I
to
think
the
I get your
point.
point. You're an MC.
Yes.
You
I
you
cannot
can't
crack-
crack jokes. Okay, see this way. See this way. If you are called to be an electrician, a house is being fixed. You are called to be an electrician, and you don't know anything about plumbing, but the person who contracted you has a mindset
That you know about
electricians
it.
should have.
You know. So
something
you should be
relating
able to-
You can even fix TV.
You should be able to say,
You should be able to.
That
The
is not
truth
me.
is, an MC, a master of ceremonies, is not a comedian.
Right.
Is not a comedian. A comedian is not a master of ceremonies. These are very different job descriptions.
Right.
However, there are a couple of people who have been able to develop the skills of mastering of ceremonies, piloting events, and doing performances to make people laugh in few minutes. And knowing how to combine
There's
it
a
in a
fusion.
seamless, in such a way that people will just have fun. And this is why I get a lot of corporate gigs, because a corporate gig does not expect you to come and say, I want to crack joke. No. Make people laugh without making them feel that you're necessarily cracking a joke, like
Right.
telling a joke. Use the scenarios that you have around, the things you can see
Read
to
the room.
read the room. RTR. Jot that down. Read the room. So I'll add that in my presentation class. So I do
will pay me.
I do public speaking and presentation training. So what you just told me now is an acronym. Read the room. RTR. So we'll add it to
You add it to,
why to the scheme
list.
scheme of work. So read the room. You're an MC. A client calls you and says, MC, I need you to do this wedding event, and somehow the over-exuberant, overzealous event coordinator, event planner comes and says, MC, they are not ready. Crack joke. Crack joke. Crack joke. No, coconut I will crack.
You go and enter trouble
My
with
dear,
the joke.
my dear, this person is not, you didn't call him as a comedian.
Right.
So at the point of negotiation, you ask questions. Do you do games? Do you do jokes? You get the point. Because not every MC knows how to deliver that.
Right.
You don't come and put the person under pressure. And as an MC, if you know that you cannot do comedy, don't use those audience to learn at that point.
Oh my
That's the truth. Don't use them to learn. Then at the end of the day, you finish talking. 30 minutes, they are looking at you. They are not getting your point.
Like, can you
They are in
just,
shambles.
can you move?
Can you just move? So there are lots of engagements to do as an MC, okay? Lots of engagement, games to play and stuff. But as a comedian, you come, deliver, you leave. If you're an MC blessed with the skill of delivering jokes, fine.
Right.
More jobs, better followership, more viewers, more lovers.
Okay.
Okay,
Fantastic.
My next question is very close to what Abimbola just asked you. It's about, the comedian or MC understanding or drawing a line from being funny
Okay.
and from being funny while being sensitive to issues. I'll give you an example. Online, I saw this wedding MC / comedian
Okay.
when he asked the two fathers-in-law to come and dance.
Okay.
And one father-in-law could, one father of the bride, one of the Yohoke,
Yeah.
the father of the bride could really dance, could
Rock.
move, But the father of the groom, he's a very conservative. And the MC kept on saying, daddy, wait till do your leg. You do something. Hey, can't you see your other?
Can't see your colleague.
Exactly. colleague father.
Why don't they move? Like say, you don't hear the sound, you don't understand beats, you know, and he went
That
on.
was extreme.
At that point, I was like, this
I
is no
hope he
longer,
got his balance before he started.
this is no longer funny. So
was extreme.
that's what I'm asking, you know, why being funny? You know, you should
Where to draw the
understand.
line,
Yes,
right?
you know,
Okay,
on
so-
sensitive issues.
So this is it. There is comedy. There is ethical comedy. Comedy is so wide that it could be anything just to make you laugh. So the danger of comedy is because it has been defined having its primary goal as laughter. When comedy now gets ethical, the primary goal is no longer laughter. The primary goal is edification. The primary goal is transformation. The primary goal is relaxation. Now, when you see comedy as that, you will be watchful of the kind of words you use. I can't remember the last time I used the F word. Not just on stage, off stage. Because if you use it regularly off stage, you will eventually, out of the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. So use it on stage. I am not having any issues with those who use it, but the thing is I know that my audience, I don't want to give them this kind of language. Therefore, I don't want to practice it by mistake. Practice it and eventually
So you're being intentional. not
yes,
using
you
it at all.
get. So now when you are relating with, I said there are three things that governs your delivery in any event as a comedian and as a master of ceremonies, or as a comedian, a female comedian, as called. Now, it is the purpose of the event, the people in the event, and the timing. The purpose of the event is so important that you need to ask yourself, if I say these kind of words, does it defeat the purpose of this gathering or it elevates it? If I say this to these people, who are these people? I was privileged to host the governor of Ondo State, Dr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa, some weeks ago. Liverpool, ex-students of Liverpool, an award and all of that. And when we were done, interestingly, he came to meet me and said, Martins, I would like to have your number. I was wowed by that. He met me. And that told me something. If the governor and other people who were there, who were very stately people, elites, could love your job and they don't feel... I was wearing stud, my hair, everything. I was looking all classy, vibey, groovy. Of course, if I come to stage, the first thing you probably think is, who is this MC again? Will he deliver well? But when I start, in the first 2 minutes, you will know that this guy is grounded.
You know when you said you anchor corporate
Yes.
gigs,
You
I
are,
was
yes.
like,
Yeah.
okay, with this
Yes. Yeah, I do. I even do faith-based events, religious events. Yes.
hair. We'll get there.
Yes.
Yeah,
I do. I did one of the biggest Catholic events recently. Pastors call me for events.
Oh, okay.
General overseers call me for events. Yes. You know, some have realized that if you invite an American singer to Nigeria, you will not bother about those things.
True.
You will blame it on culture. It's their culture.
It's their
But
identity.
does God change
God sees the heart.
according to
anyway.
culture? No. So I do a lot of, I've been doing Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Nigeria award for 3 years back to back. 3 years back to back.
I guess they understand. They feel that it's your identity.
Yeah, they
anyway,
understand.
So that's
And I when I do this, I go on my suit, you will love me.
see Ipolowo ọjà.
You will love me. You know why you're on suit and you're looking suitable?
Suitable. Okay.
Okay, so does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to understand the purpose of the event, understand the people. There is an event I will go to, okay? I did one event. Former DG of NIMASA, he's late now. Peter Obi, lots of them, Hanez Ndigbo, all of them, they were the tribute. I anchored the event. It got to a point that it became very traditional. And this man, you know this man now. So they told me, we love your style. In fact, where we saw you in an event where Peter Obi also attended, Dr. Debbie Okonkwo I was there with Fino, Gozio KK. I anchored the event with Funny Bone. Amazing. I said, come and do this event. Now, we like how you look. However, because of this traditional men, for this segment, the man gave me money to buy a hat. Now, I did not take offense.
Because that was a good
No.
next question.
Because,
That
I
you
mean,
feel
if you
offended?
No, I did not
about
take
it.
offense. They are my bosses. They pay, yeah.
now.
And they are paying well.
Imagine.
And they are giving me money for cap.
to buy the cap. Is it not
to
just
buy
how
the
many
cap.
hours?
So I bought the cap. The cap is still my cap.
I know,
No
right?
cap.
No cap.
So let me give you a recap. So I got the cap, did the event. It was sweet. I felt no pain. That's what they wanted.
Yes.
You get? So
And they paid for it.
and they paid for it.
Right. So, when you do comedy,
Yeah.
or for those who are in this business,
Yeah.
are there boundaries in comedy, or because again you want to make people laugh, you want to create an awareness, you want to send in a message, you open your mouth, wah, and then you keep going. Are there boundaries when you do
Okay.
comedy?
So first of all, from your outfit, you look royalty. She does as well. She looks
Thank
like
you.
a wife of a governor. You look same as well.
Thank you.
I told you guys I look like guests.
You did. You said
You are
so.
looking amazing. If I come to an event you invite me for, I just met you, but I will know your kind of friends, contact, audience. Now, the boundaries will start from who called you, who are the kind of people you are coming to serve.
Okay.
You go to a church event or a faith-based event, there are some words that you use in the secular space that you don't use.
Right.
You go to an event that is a tribute, funeral, ceremony. There are some words you don't use because it will ignite a negative feeling in the
Effect.
people.
Right.
So first of all, as a person, in art, there is what we call persona, material and audience, PMA or PAM, persona, audience, material. Your persona should be groomed and built for the audience you always want to serve.
Right.
And your materials should be tailored to suit those kind of audience. In that vein, that limit, that boundary starts from your persona. We're here, we're doing the business of media and television. If you are home, there's a way you relate with your kids. There's a way you talk to your family. That's not the way you do it on TV because this is your TV persona. So boundaries should be set from the persona, then it will flow in the materials, then it will be received by the audience, and gladness will be the order of the day.
Oh, wow.
Okay. The name Martin.
Yes.
I'm particular about the
Extra.
Tainer.
All right, let me help you.
What does it do? What does it do?
Let me break it down for you. This will help you.
Extra
This will help you, then I'll break it down. And I'm glad both of you pronounce it well. I've gone to events where they tell me, Martin's the strainer. I say, may you not be strained. So now, when I come on stage, sometimes I say this. My name is Martins. I don't Martins. Other entertainers, they call me extratainer. And you see these mountains will make us move mountains. Now, the extra in the entertainer is depicting an entertainer with the extra. The extra is everything that you see that makes me different. My look, the way I deliver, the content I bring to you. So when I handle an event for women, I would bring scenarios relating to women historically that elevate women, tell you more about women, the power of women, the authenticity of their value that you would be asking if it is only women events I do. When I do events for oil and gas, you'll be asking me if I work in an oil and gas company. When I do events for safety, by the way, I also anchor AfriSafe. It's an award for safety and excellence in Africa, where you have so many, over 30, 40 African countries. Now, when I do that event, you ask, did he do safety, environment, and safety? So I have learned to be able to diversify, learn a little or more about each industry that I can. Some time ago, lawyers called me to the chamber to do just comedy for 10 minutes. I was done. It was an Independence Day event called 10, just come and make us laugh. 10 minutes, they did the envelope and I left. Lawyers.
They need it.
They need it.
They
a
need
lot.
it.
A lot of cases. Beyond their
They need to
suitcases, there are
unwind.
many cases. So the extra in the extratainer is that extra in me being an entertainer. So Martins is my name, of course. Okay. So instead of Martins the entertainer, Martins. So anytime you call me, you are expecting
An extra.
a remarkable experience to relax. And at the end of the day, my audience don't just want to relax, they want to remember and they want to return. So brands I've worked with, I've given them magical moments that make people want to talk about, oh, see the way he talked about this product. See the way I can think of a thing about a product and say nice things about it. And as a brand owner, you'll be happy because I have the right words to say.
Okay, I mean, you've talked about you've talked about yourself glowingly this morning. Talked about how people, the feedback that you've gotten from events. Have you ever gotten a feedback that you didn't like, or a backlash, or something that set you straight? And you promised yourself never to make that mistake again. Not be every time you go the rosy now.
You felt like I'm done with it.
Okay, you know what? At this point, make I use my church mind. There is hardly an artist, a performer with a bad or funny or strange day. If you notice, I was trying to think. It's just that it's not like I've never had a bad day, but I've had so many good days and very few bad days. Now let me remember one bad day. Good. I went to a lounge. Akporo was the one who invited me. So we're doing a tour, secondary school tour. Myself and Akporo were the major comedians. At the same time, at some point, it's one of the schools I would anchor. Okay. Then he was like, we're done with today's tour. The school we're done, we've performed that today. We're done with them. They think we can go. So, Martins, I'm going to So Lounge, name withheld. Join me. Let's go together and all of that. That was my first time in that kind of environment and with that kind of audience. I've always been killing it on stages, and because I knew my audience. So I was like, okay. So we went there. I didn't even plan to perform. But I was like, comedy, let's have fun. And it was like, this guy is good. Let him be on stage. So I did. In comedy, it's what we call set. Set is like a combination of jokes that you're supposed to do for a certain period of time, divided by interlude. So one joke, an interlude, audience engagement, another joke or beat. So I was supposed to do my sets, maybe like 10 minutes or thereabouts. So I started. Man, they were looking at me. They didn't get my point. They were drinking. They were high. It was like a club setting. They were high. So they were not even to get their attention. They were not listening.
They were not even.
That was.
You were not existing.
Oh my goodness. I was giving hot materials that made sense, and they were just drinking, gisting.
Oh my God.
So I now went into music comedy. So I do a bit of music comedy as well. Sing in humorous ways and tell stories with it. So I did a bit of that. That was my saving grace. Immediately I just dropped the mic and left.
And said,
I just dropped the mic and left. So I would say that 70% of my performance on that day was not a success, because the success of comedy is that the audience laugh, they get your point. But 70% of the whole journey was just me talking, and comedians were understanding me and getting, but the audience, they were so high. They were so high.
Just come out for this.
They were so high. I felt terrible, but there is something called continuity in performance. Continuity is your ability to keep flowing even when you are yet to get your feedback. But over continuity will lead to disgrace. So when you don't understand the grace, it will lead to disgrace.
Oh my God, over
So
continuity.
yeah, you know that these people are not feeling your ga. Drop mic and Wakanda forever. So I just knew that, okay, this last joke, if this last joke does not work, I will
That's
walk
it.
out. You know, some people go to the gym to work out when things don't work out. So I dropped that joke, and immediately the joke made sense. I did not wait for the temptation
just carried
of the
yourself
enemy.
away.
Say stay. No, I just left.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so as we wrap up this conversation today, perhaps there are people watching you this morning. They have the passion, they have the dream to want to be a comedian, and
Okay.
you know they've heard you this morning. What would be that advice that you give to them? Because again, sometimes they think it's all rosy, but I'm sure saying our journey. It's a journey,
It's a
and of course
journey.
you have to
We're
also
still
pay,
in the journey.
you have to pay your price on the journey. So what would be your advice for them this morning as they look forward to probably also coming into the industry?
Okay. I like the fact that you talked about pay your price. So I'll start from there. So you see how spontaneous I can get. So if you don't pay the price, you'll be surprised.
It's your
You have a way. I mean,
way-
your
way with
words.
Yes, you have a
If
way
you
with
don't
words.
learn how to mount, you will not know what is paramount.
True.
I always say that when I come to stage, I want to be seen as a premium dose of joy, class, and unforgettable moments. Why some other people would do and make people laugh, try to make people remember. Performance is an experience. You should go beyond that time. Now it's a journey. And it's a journey because it's in phases. Therefore, you might be in a phase where you are not even paid anything to perform. That phase happens to everybody who starts. For everything big, it was once small.
In quotes.
It means that this might be a day of small beginning, but bigger things will come. Therefore, the most important thing, personal investment, personal development cannot be overemphasized. Keep working on building materials that are your own. A true comedian is one who has original materials, who can create materials, who can create jokes, who can create his own jokes out of his own stories, other people's stories and all. So learn to create. That's why we're called creatives. God created. And if you are his creation, you should be a creator. You should be able to create. Nothing is new under the sun. Taken. But you can renew.
Can I ask one more question on the
Yes.
asking us to go? Again, I'll repeat it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been wondering why I've been staring at
Okay,
you.
well, you stare. Talk to me.
You sound so passionate, like, and intentional, as if since you were, little, this is what you have been
We do
groomed
it. Okay, to do.
be. Is it just comedy, or did you intentionally get into comedy, or it was just a
Okay,
passive
I've always loved entertaining people. However, I'm an educationist. I am also an economist. Okay, if I'm not doing comedy, I can work in a firm and do very good. Okay, now this passion became a profession for me, and I've developed the habit of learning to do the best out of anything I do. When I talk about comedy with so much passion, is because I've built myself personally in it, that I can say a lot about it. I understand how it should work, what it should be. I train people. I have prodigies that I train, public speaking, presenting, and also mastering of ceremonies that I also guide. Okay? So I feel that when it is a passion, it goes beyond just let me go on stage and talk 10 minutes and leave. No. It now becomes a vehicle for influence. So I talk to entertain, I talk to train, I talk to sell, and I talk to change.
Okay, when you're talking, hey, we will not leave this place today because when you talk about training, can you really train a comedian to be a comedian?
Okay, so I just told you something that you probably wouldn't have heard before, that there is something called the anatomy of comedy. Anatomy in physiology or biology talks about the internal structure of a person. Now, I know that because my dad is a physiotherapist. Now, in comedy, the internal structure of comedy is that while writing your joke, for instance, you should have a set, then you should go to the punchline. The punchline will be meaningless if people don't understand what you are talking about. So, let me help you save some time.
Okay.
So you can help people build comically. They are born comedians. There are people who are trained to do it. Trust me, in this time, the truth is that almost everything can be learned. That's the truth.
Right.
Yeah,
But
I can.
you must
have something in it that
That needs to be
ignites.
developed.
Yes, that's the truth.
Yeah, I don't have to make people
Yeah.
laugh.
No, you can. You can write a script for a speech, and I will bring out comedy from it. Three jokes that when you are reading the speech, people will laugh at that point. Obama, all the presidents you see, they have somebody who infuses humor in their speeches to make it more engaging. I do that as well. So anybody can be funny.
Yes, but then of course there has to be.
But anybody can be funny. Not everybody is a
everybody-
comedian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. Maybe he would he'll write speeches for you when the need arises.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You'll not be a stand-up comedian. Don't
You'll be a
fear.
sit down.
You'll be a speech comedian.
I will be the comedy.
Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you so much, Martin.
You are so amazing, though. Like,
Entertainer,
had a good
for
time.
finding time to be with us on the program today. We had amazing time with you also on the program. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
beautiful
you.
weekend.
Thank you.
But
Thank
of
you.
course, we've been chatting with our guest this morning. He's taking us through the journey. And for everyone who has the passion, who has the drive, just know that there has to be something inside of you to be developed before you can actually mount that stage to want to make others laugh. Not be serious, not be play. Oh. Come and ask me.
Ask her. I hope I can share my handles, how they can reach out to me. because-
Yes, we can. Quickly do that.
Okay, so Martins the Extratainer, MartinsTheXtratainer on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Okay,
So
alright.
let's continue the
So you
conversation.
you can check him out on those platforms and let's continue the conversation. We'll take a quick break. When we return, our second guest will be here.